Hi neighbors, it's MaryTherese. Welcome to this Tuesday, April 7th edition of Neighborhood News, coming to you from just outside of Atlanta in Oxford, Georgia. I am your host, MaryTherese. So happy to have you along. We've been doing this for 1 week and it's gotten so big we had to get our own email address. So if you have neighborhood news, this is uplifting news, things going on in your neighborhood, send it to me at neighborhoodnews2020@gmail.com. And we're going to share neighborhood news from all over the world today. But before we get to the news, I have a very special interview. And because I've already got her on the line, we're going to jump right into this interview. We've all been kind of in quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it, for the last couple of weeks. And I think we could all use a little motivation. So on the phone with me right now, I have Team U.S. coach and Olympic athlete, Adriane Wilson. Coach Wilson, hello. It's good to see you.
Hi, MaryTherese. So good to see you.
So just to give folks a little bit of background, I first met you a couple years ago because I had the honor and privilege of working for Army Warrior Care and Transition, writing stories about, there you go, love the shirt. I have many. These are stories about soldiers who were wounded, injured, and ill. And we are putting stories together to kind of share their road to recovery, to recover and overcome. And you have been such a huge part of that, not only working with Team Army, but you've been a coach now on Team U.S, getting ready to go to Invictus for, many, many years. But obviously, Invictus in the Netherlands has been postponed. You had to have been bummed about that.
Correct. That's correct.
What about your athletes? I know you're staying in touch with them. How are they coping with this change?
Well, with the day and age of all this technology, we've had a really nice, easy way to get a hold of our athletes and just let them know this is just kind of a bump. We're still looking ahead to Warrior Games 2020. Hopefully it's still going to go on in September in San Antonio. But as far as Invictus, it's going to be postponed until 2021, next year, which is okay. Because as a coach, I'm looking at the grand scheme of things that now I have 12, 14 months to start planning for the team. And I get kind of nerdy about it because I'm so excited I can start to do a periodization and set up blocks, things that make more sense than just meet the athletes 2 to 3 months before our event. Say, okay, let's just button things up. So now I feel like a little bit more of a hand on things and can plan things out and get to know the athletes a little bit better. Because like I said before, I'm usually coaching with Team Army, but with Team USA, it's all the services together. So all the best in the United States are coming together on one team. It's super awesome. It's a lot.
And you want to talk about hella athletes, if I can say that on my own channel here. But the last time I saw you was November back in Fort Bragg. And I tried to reach out to you the next day after your interview, and you were in Hawaii coaching athletes there.
But yes, so we had our regional trial out in Hawaii. We had to send us to Hawaii. It was pretty awesome.
Tough gig. Somebody had to do it.
We had all the West Coast WTVs.
But you go all over the place. So now your place is right here, right? And I know you're also a personal trainer. And thank you, by the way. You sent me some fabulous video, which, by the way, folks, I'm going to share on my Facebook page and on Neighborhood News Facebook page as well later today from Coach Adriane on things that you can do at home. So you're talking about buttoning things up. For the average viewer watching, I know this is the kind of advice you would give to your soldiers and athletes. What can somebody watching at home do now that we're all under the same quarantine, the same lockdown? Because you don't want to let your health get away from you, and you don't want to become a couch potato, because then we could all put on more than the freshman 15, right?
That's right. Well, I'm all, rainbows and uniforms. Like, I'm just always super positive. I'm looking at this time that, man, you can actually sit down and relax. A lot of people have very stressful jobs. They're always go all day long.
Sure.
And so they don't really take the time to kind of just rest. And if you're sitting down and you're resting, you think, oh, I have to do something else. I can't just sit here.
Right.
Now you're forced to sit down and kind of relax. So I'm looking at this as a time for people to really just take this time to repair. And repair, maybe it's getting at least 7 hours of sleep at night. Maybe it's taking a nap in the afternoon.
So sleep is very important.
Sleep is very important. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying don't sleep the day away, but try to get on a feasible routine that you start a wind down routine at night. Maybe it starts at 9:30, 10 o'clock. And you're in bed and actually starting to get tired by 11. Maybe it's earlier than that if you have an earlier morning. But try not to stray too far from what your normal schedule would be If you have to get up super early for the kids or to go to work, if that's the case, kind of try to stick to that schedule so it won't be too tough to get back on schedule when we're off this quarantine. I'm thinking very positive it's not going to be that long, but who knows?
Sure.
But the sleep is important. I found myself, having all this extra time. So normally I'm in the gym kind of early. I have a little break at lunchtime, and then I'll go back to the gym until about 7:30 at night. And so I now have this time during the day that I can actually sit down, have a nice lunch, do my workout, maybe have a post-workout something, and then continue on with my online, working with my clients online, which is very unusual for me. But I feel a lot more clarity. I feel a lot more rested, and that when it's time for my workout, I'm feeling pretty good. And, of course, sometimes I have to modify a few things too. But it's, this time, it's going to be challenging for many, true. And we have to get very creative in how we want to stay active and make the most of it. But we can look at all this as a positive thing.
When you talk about having a schedule, you mean getting up at the same time. You mean, should you exercise several times a day at a certain time for a certain amount? Because for someone who maybe is not used to not going to the gym and they're at home, they might be thinking, hey, I'm on vacation. You're really not on vacation.
Not quite. Well, that's the other thing is a lot of people are a little overwhelmed with, well, I don't know what to do. I don't have any equipment. That's fine. Guess what? There are a ton of fitness professionals out there who are uploading a ton of free content on YouTube, on their websites, because they know how important activity level is to everybody. It's great for our sanity, it's great for our bodies, and it's also, we miss that social interaction when we're with our team, with our trainer, our friends, so don't be afraid to check out YouTube. There's a lot of beginner type exercises, body weight only. Maybe we can get creative around the house and you do have a heavy book bag, or you can stuff a duffel bag full of lots of clothes to make it heavy and awkward. So, carrying it up, pushing it overhead. Little things around the house will actually be helpful.
Mean just take a book bag and wear it or lift it or push it? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
That's easy.
You can load it up, put it on your back, take a nice 10-minute walk.
Isn't that what you call in the Army a rucksack?
Oh, a rucksack, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So
there's lots of things you can do that are maybe unconventional, but it's going to get some work done. Another thing that I always recommend people is why don't you just take a 10, 15, 20-minute walk after your meals. For one thing, it's going to help with your insulin sensitivity and your digestion, but also it's going to get you out walking. You might get a mile and you might get more. You never know how quickly you're going to be walking. But it's something to get you outside. You can still keep your social distancing.
Yes.
But it's also, if you don't have access to, if you have a busy neighborhood, or I'm not sure, but it's something to get you out and about, so you're not stuck in the house all day.
So I know you're staying in touch with most of your athletes, probably all of your athletes, and I've sent them all a message that you were going to be on today. So is there any message that you want to send to your members of Team U.S. or members of Team Army as their coach?
I'm embracing technology. I've always been like a paper and pen, keeping track of stuff, so I'm doing this whole computer thing. But I've uploaded an online platform that I can communicate with some of the athletes through the WTDs and through the Invictus team, and any athlete who wants to speak with me and try to get into some communication. I provide some workouts, some things I can do at home. And as we go down the line and maybe gyms open up or they have access to equipment at home, we can add that into the workouts to make it a little bit more challenging. But again, I'm looking at this as an opportunity that normally we don't have this kind of access to the athletes. We usually are sticking to our time at camps and then at trials and then the games. But now we can actually communicate and have a little bit more hand in their training and answer questions, provide support, and maybe just be, instead of, I kicked myself, I can't remember who read it, I read it, but they were talking about social distancing. It should be more of a physical distancing. So we want to keep that social interaction with people, if it's,
absolutely,
through FaceTime, through Skype, through Zoom, whatever you want to do, but to keep contact with people, to provide support, just check in, say, hey, what are you doing? Oh, that's a great idea. I can do that too. And
all about share. It's all about the neighborhood, which is why we ended up starting this show.
Right.
Yeah.
Super.
Hey, before I let you go, Coach, I know a lot of folks are wondering because you've been to Invictus in Australia.
Twice. Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, and Canada. Now you get to go to the Netherlands. Have you gotten close to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle?
Oh, they were they were fabulous at all the opening and closing ceremonies. It's really great how involved they are. And Prince Harry, he shows up at everything.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Yes, I've seen him from a distance, but again, it's all about the athletes. And so I just enjoyed watching him interact with the athletes and just how gracious he was that they were there and that he was a part of something that's so big and so important. So he really impressed me.
Well, you, my dear, are like the queen of coaches, if I can end on a royal note.
Oh, thank God. I appreciate that.
We can't thank you enough. I know you're getting ready to you're training for a Highland Games, right?
Yeah, I can beat the Scottish
Highland Games. So I mean, where are those going to be held?
Wear my kilts and throw stuff.
Where are those going to be held?
Hopefully, well, again, we're treading lightly here, but hopefully go back up to Alaska at the end of June for a Highland game in Palmer, Alaska, just north of Anchorage. So that would be super. If not, I'm just hopeful that maybe you'll get one or two in this year, but if not, we can just always plan for next year.
Well, Coach, we can't thank you enough. Blessings to you, and stay in touch, and go Team U.S.
Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, please.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Coach Adriane Wilson, all-around Olympic athlete. She is getting ready for the Highland Games and sharing with us her knowledge to share with all of you so that we're not couch potatoes and we're taking our health seriously, and also sending a message to all of those Team U.S. athletes and Team Army athletes. The show must go on. You still have to make sure that you do what you need to do as far as your workout is concerned. So what we want to do, and thank you again, Coach, for being here. We want to go ahead and jump into some news from around the neighborhoods, because this is news from the neighborhood, news about you, from you. And we want to go back to the south side of Chicago. This is Laura Lenz, who is a nurse, and she is the mother of 5. And her daughter Madison created this for her door. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. I've seen things like this on other hospital workers, doctors, nurses, their home doors, and I think it's terrific because it's signifying that somebody that's working this COVID-19 crisis lives here. And you know what? They've more than earned our respect. So Laura, kudos to you. And as a mother of 5, she wants to send out to everybody this message. Please stay home so that we can all come home. Very good point. Thank you for what you do, Laura. We appreciate you very much. So we also want to bring in a little bit of video for you. When you talk about rival high schools, you know what it's like. And in Houston County, Georgia, there are 5 high schools, and their principals all got together to tape a message, take a listen to this, to all of their students. Well, okay, this was live TV.
Finish 2020 strong.
Especially to our seniors. Know we love you and support you, and we will do all we can to make the end of the year special.
All means all.
That's awesome. Thank you, Houston County, Georgia. We're going to hear more from Houston County, Georgia a little bit later in the broadcast. Something very unique that has been put together by a community virtual chorus. Next, we're going to take you to Illinois. There is a program that's been started. If you look at the internet, there are all kinds of pop-up programs, social programs that you can be a part of, all just because of coronavirus. And this is a program that started in, Galesburg, Illinois by Krista Wins. And it's called Heart Hunters. You've seen people do it with the bears, where they put the bears in the window. Well, this is a group who put hearts all over inside in the windows. And take a look at this beautiful picture. Now, this picture is from Rachel Ellis of Plainfield, Illinois. Super creative, creating a stained glass art look with all of the hearts. Look at her pup just posing there in the photo. Now, this organization started about 2.5 weeks ago, folks. It's called, again, Heart Hunters. They have almost 1 million members in 2.5 weeks. unbelievable. So let's go all the way to California to another member. And her name is Andrea Wade from Fillmore, California. And you can either put hearts in your windows or you can find hearts in nature. Take a look at what she found on a walk. A beautiful heart inside a piece of driftwood with a bird. That's picture perfect shot. So thank you very much to Andrea Wade as well from Fillmore, California for this gem of a photo, as well as Krista, thank you for starting the organization, and Rachel, your creativity is giving a lot of folks at home some great ideas right now. So we cannot thank you all enough for sharing that. What we're gonna do now, nope, Siri, I don't need any help. I need to get over to some more video. We're gonna go back to Macon, Georgia, and this is something I want you to take a listen to. Nurse Jill Kelly Hancock, on a shift change going into the Medical Center of Central Georgia last week. She rolled some tape on this. Take a look at what happened when she was going into her shift.
So I'm outside at work, and they are having a caravan around our hospital. I think all of the healthcare workers that are working.
Take a look at this.
I think it's awesome.
That's got to make you feel really, really good when you've been working, when you have been working tirelessly, trying to make sure that you're not only keeping the hospital going, because think about this, folks, it's not just folks with COVID-19 that are in the hospital. You have people who have had accidents, who have had injuries, maybe who have a condition. So they're having to deal with all of this at one time, and it's got to be extremely overwhelming. So kudos to you folks in Macon, Georgia, for giving a shout out and saying thanks to our hospital workers who were there. I want to give a shout out now. We're going to go up to Marietta, Georgia, to Dobbins Air Reserve Base, because over the weekend, they answered the COVID-19 call with less than 24 hours of notice. You're taking a look, folks, at members of several medics from the 94th Airlift Wing and the 413th Aero Medical Staging Squadron. They left on Sunday and headed for the New York City area, loaded up on a Dobbins C-130 to be able to lend support. And they said that it took a full team effort to get this together, but everything from maintenance to logistics, operations, and many others to make this happen. And you know what, folks? This is what our military does. And so we can't say thank you enough to our reserve and to our guard for being always ready and always willing to say yes. So we thank you so much for what you are doing up there. So let's take a little trip on out to Utah. This is a group of nurses out in Utah. And we really appreciate Christy Watkins Woods, who, by the way, is from Warner Robins. And they say that they can't be home because they're nurses. So here they are on a shift, all together, posing for you. This is in Bountiful, Utah at Lakeview Hospital. And nurses, we salute you. We thank you so much for all that you bring to our patients. And we thank you for sharing this with the world so that we have a greater idea of what it is that you all are doing. All right. So, let's see if we can find this video on AirPlay here. Actually, I'm not sure why it's doing that. This came from our friend Donato Carrario in Italy. And this is somebody whose dog, a little bit of humor, is in charge of herding sheep. But he's doing it, well, not sure why that's happening like that. He is doing it, watching it on the internet. Look at that. See? A little bit of Italian humor there. Thank you, Donato, for sending this in. We needed something to make us smile a little bit today. Last but not least, we're going to take you to Loganville, Georgia. And I don't know if you can see this, but take a look in the far right corner of your screen. There is a lady hanging out the car window with her camera, and she's focused at the mom and the son up on the hill there. And this is Kim Dawson. She's a photographer, and she has gone around her neighborhood letting the neighbors know they can come out and at a safe distance, she'll take photos, she uploads them, and they can download them. And another great picture that she's taken, she's done these all from the car, so there's that social distancing that's there. And I asked her, I said, why are you doing this? This is her God-given talent, and she wants to be able to contribute and make people smile, so this is how she's doing it. Kim Dawson in Loganville, you're 1 in a million. And she said, we have great neighbors, so she's happy to do it. But take a tip. What is your God-given talent that maybe you can share with people on the internet or your neighbors? You know, something to think about. Thank you for doing that. All right, folks, we're going to get to our challenge from last week. Remember our junk drawer challenge that came from Charles in Kentucky? So this was my junk drawer. All right. This is after. You're welcome, Colonel Bob on the camera. By the way, most of that was your stuff in there, but I'm not going to get into that right here on the internet. He's shaking his head no. Also, wanted to let you see this. This is coming from Charles in Kentucky, who made the challenge. This is his drawer. This is after. I think that is now known as the light bulb drawer. This is a beauty drawer from Cecilia in Ohio, and this is after. And she said you wouldn't believe the bag of out-of-date stuff that she found in there, so that I'm sure it was pretty massive, so way to go, Cecilia. And this is coming from Tim in San Diego, who showed his junk drawer and said now it's just the essentials. Gotta have Band-Aids, man. Band-Aids, scissors, and a pad of paper. Don't you love it? All right. Now, time for a public service announcement, guys. This is very important. We do this in every show. I want to show this to you. On the CDC website, many folks are asking, what are the symptoms for coronavirus? And I want you to see that this is what the CDC is posting. And this has been around for a while now. These are the basics. It is the sneezing. It is the coughing. These are the basic symptoms. But let me tell you what the CDC has done. You can go to their website, which is cdc.gov, and they actually have a coronavirus self-checker. So if you're wondering, geez, I have these symptoms, but I'm not sure, they don't want you to flood the ERs because they're flooded enough, but they also don't want you to ignore your symptoms. So check out this coronavirus self-checker. This is also on the CDC website, and it is a computer-generated help for you to get through the questions, and then they will decide with how you answer what kind of advice to give you, and should you be going to the ER, should you be making an appointment. But it's a very, very useful tool. So keep the CDC's website in mind. And by the way, they're constantly updating conditions and symptoms for coronavirus. So what started out 2 months ago as the basic symptoms has now increased. You're going to want to keep up with that. And folks, don't listen to every little meme that's put out there on the internet about this. Go to the CDC website, because I'm just saying, I'd be trusting the CDC before I trust anybody out there. That is your public service announcement for the day. By the way, did you know you're watching Neighborhood News? We've got our own email address now, neighborhoodnews2020@gmail.com. You all are some of the most creative people on the planet Earth, and I can't thank you enough for all of the email that you're sending. So keep it coming, because this show airs on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 o'clock. Now, we also, as we're getting caught up to speed here, we want to say that we are getting ready to go to the praise and prayer portion of the show. Remember, we talked before about having a fistful of prayer and a fistful of praise. I was listening to the Catholic channel last week. Yes, very proud Catholic. And I listened to Cardinal Timothy Dolan. And he had a pretty profound statement on there that I think you can all relate to. Everybody's very worried about what's happening with coronavirus. And he made the comment that he was referring to the movie Apollo 13. Remember that, with Tom Hanks? And he said, and I don't want to misquote him, Carmel Dolan said that in Apollo 13, Flight Director Gene Kranz overheard two NASA directors discussing the low survival chances for the crippled spacecraft. And they said, this could be the worst disaster that NASA has ever experienced. But with all due respect, sir, Kranz intervenes, I believe this is going to be our finest hour. Something to think about. It's all in how we handle this, folks. Look at how everybody is finding a way to come together and work together, whether it's through the medical profession, whether it's through research, in our own neighborhoods. We're answering the call, and this very well could be our finest hour. So, prayers requested for today. Anna in Michigan is requesting some prayer because she is recovering from COVID-19. Dave and Serena in Las Vegas are caring for their grandchildren while their daughter works as a nurse, so prayers for them. Sam in Boston is asking for prayer because he is awaiting the results of a COVID-19 test. And folks, let's just continue to ask for prayers, pray for all of our hospital and emergency workers, that God gives them the grace, strength, and wisdom to do what it is that they need to do. And let's just pray that God will take this away from us. He certainly didn't create it and he didn't give it to us, but he can sure take it away from us. So help us to figure out how to fix this, God, because you know what? You created us and we can do this. We can do this together as a team. And teamwork makes the dream work. I know you've heard that a bunch. So little for all those who are going home after quarantine, that's a big deal, folks. This is for you, Michael and Philly. Congratulations. Glad that you're home. We praise you, Lord, that so many of us are able to go to church virtually. How many of us are going to church virtually? It's awesome. It's great. Some happy news out of Indianapolis. George and Linda tested negative for COVID-19. Yay, snaps for you guys. Lord, we praise you for the hard-working, essential folks laboring to make sure that we can exist with our families while they're away from theirs. And we're talking about the truck drivers and the grocery store workers and the pharmacy workers. So thank you to all of you for being away from your families so that we can exist and be with ours. And finally, we praise your holy name, Lord, because none of us are truly in this alone. We're finding friends, neighbors, and resources to get through this crisis together. So, amen and amen. Thank you all so much for being here. So, before we go, I want to invite you to join us this Friday, because this Friday, on our Friday webisode, we have a very special interview with one of the guest docs on Hanging with the Hendersons, the veterinarian show that is on Animal Planet. We're going to talk to Dr. Timothy Bill. Full disclosure, he is my nephew. I know a guy. So he is going to come on and he's going to talk to us about what we need to be thinking about while we're in quarantine or lockdown with our pets. And you're going to be really surprised at some of the information that he's going to share, because these are very unique times. And he is very happy to be joining us from Colorado when we talk to him on Friday. So can't thank you all enough for being here. Again, you can reach us at neighborhoodnews2020@gmail.com. We're going to leave you tonight that before we get to our last piece, one more time, thank you so very much, Coach Adriane Wilson, for being with us. Just a superhuman being, but you know what, really cares about her athletes, cares about all of you. I am going to upload her video on things that you can do at home on my Facebook page and on the Neighborhood News Facebook page by 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight. You want to be sure to check that out. So we're going to go back to Houston County, Georgia. They have a school district virtual choir, and we're going to leave you with this. And my thanks to Beth McLaughlin of Houston County Schools. You have been so helpful this week, my friend. Thank you very much for all that you do. This is a cover from the musical Dear Evan Hansen, and you are going to be amazed at what these folks did. So enjoy, wash your hands, stay home, and spread kindness, not a virus.
parents, teachers, staff, and most importantly, students. This is Dr. Scott, your superintendent of schools. As we go through these uncertain times, it's easy to get lost in the stress of the moment. We will get through this together by lifting up and supporting one another during this social distancing, especially as we begin a new normal of digital learning for all students. Through it all, there is one constant that you can truly count on. Every person at your school and every employer across our school district continues to devote their time, talent, and resources to teach and support those who teach the children and teens of Houston County. We do this for one reason: you, our students and school families. We are here for you. You are not alone. I promise you, you are not alone.
Okay, I'm a hot mess. Okay, we're done.